We're going to go back to our top story, Gaza, where a ceasefire between Israel and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, brokered by Egypt, is holding after coming into effect late Sunday night. Israel reopening its border crossings with Gaza, once again allowing supplies to flow into the isolated enclave after days of severe fuel shortages forced the shutdown of Gaza's lone power plant. That power plant now operational once again for the first time in 3 days. For more on the story, we can cross to Yossi Meckelberg, Professor of International Relations and Associate Fellow at the MENA Program of Chatham House, who joins us live from London. Thanks so much for being with us. Palestinian Islamic Jihad is claiming this outcome as a victory, despite having a significant portion of its leadership either killed or arrested. Where do you think this conflict leaves Gaza's militant groups?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. It's definitely not a victory for Islamic Jihad. The big question whether it's also a victory for Israel in this sense. As you mentioned, they lost quite a few people from their top echelon, military echelon. But the question is bigger, whether it's a victory for the Gazan people, because at the end of the day, the people suffer most are the 2 million people that live in unbearable conditions in Gaza, blockaded, under quite oppressive regime. In the heat of the summer, with very few hours of electricity, with almost no ability to move in and out of the strip. And we see these rounds of violence and hostility time and again, but we don't see a comprehensive, a holistic solution for that in the near future.
Well, with this latest ceasefire, obviously we've seen repeating rounds of violence between Israel and Gaza over the past several years, always with these as you say, devastating consequences on the ground for the Gazan people. What do we think is the outlook for this ceasefire? Is there any possibility of progress in relations between, let's say, the interim government of Yair Lapid and Hamas with regards to improving conditions there in Gaza?
Sadly, the answer is no. We can't see any improvement, and it's a ceasefire. It means obviously it's better to have ceasefire, not having a ceasefire, because the rockets are flying into Israel and put Israel in some sort of a siege for a few days. But the constant killing of Palestinians in Gaza, 44 were killed in the last few days in Gaza, and as I mentioned, the unbearable life there. What needs is actually a solution. Now, there is an inherent problem in the political system between the Israelis and the Palestinians. The Palestinians are divided between Gaza and the West Bank, between the Fatah and the Hamas, but also in Gaza, between Hamas and Islamic Jihad. Then you have the Israeli political system is not functioning because it's moving from one election to another. The last government survived the year plus, but that's about it. And even that was very hard to take any decisions. The issue of succession in the Palestinian Authority. Under this condition, with the lack of interest by the international community, all what we see, it's enough to look at the reports that were published last week by human rights organizations like Breaking the Silence or Gisha, that look specifically on Gaza, and to see the kind of condition the Palestinians live day after day. At the end of the day, it's not Islamic Jihad is a terroristic organization, but the question why it has traction in Gaza, and the reason for that it has traction, is because there is no political horizon.
On the other side of the equation, Israeli internal politics, what kind of fallout do you think, if any, there will be from this operation, or will it help Lapid in elections in the next 3 months? It seems to have had fairly minimal consequences on the Israeli side.
To be fair, there was some improvement under the Bennett-Lapid government, some improvement in terms of work permits, of allowing certain goods. But at the end of the day, it's a drop in the ocean. As for Lapid, I think he comes out of it stronger. We'll see towards the weekend the opinion polls and what the public says about it in terms how it translated into their decisions to vote one party or another. But at the end of the day, it was a short operation from a military perspective. It achieved what Israel wanted to achieve in terms of eliminating what we like this kind of operation from international or ethical point of view, but eliminating some of the military leaders of Islamic Jihad and asserting its authority, if you like, in this kind of relations with Gaza. Also showing that the Hamas is actually quite happy for the Islamic Jihad to suffer this kind of losses, and it's behave actually in a quite a responsible way, not intervening, actually aspiring for a ceasefire. I think in principle, it should strengthen Mr. Lapid's position in Israeli politics, but Israel politics is sometimes a bit more complex than seeing just the rationale that I just explained.
All right. Yossi Mickelberg from MENA program of Chatham House, thank you so much for that analysis.
Thank you.